Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Steve Harvey. Now sit back, relax, because I'm about to drop some wisdom that might just change your texting game forever. You ever send a message and then just stare at your phone, waiting, hoping, praying he texts back, and then it's just crickets? Let me tell you something. If you're out here writing novels and he's giving you thumbs up emojis, baby, you playing the wrong game. Let's talk about confidence in texting, because that right there, that's the game changer. You see, men are naturally drawn to women who know who they are and don't feel the need to prove it in every message. Confidence is that silent power behind your words. It doesn't scream, it doesn't beg, it doesn't chase, it simply is. And when you carry that energy into a text conversation, the whole vibe shifts. Now, let's be real. We've all been there. Overthinking a reply, wondering if you should wait 10 minutes before texting back, rereading your message 10 times, trying to make it sound perfect. But that right there, that's coming from a place of nervousness, and nervous energy always reads as desperation, even through a screen. A confident woman doesn't wait by her phone. She doesn't stress if he takes a little while to reply. She's got things to do, people to see, her own life to live, and that is exactly what makes a man want to be part of it. When you text a man from a place of confidence, your messages look different. They're not overloaded with emojis. They're not full of long explanations. They're not begging for validation. Instead of saying, hey, just wondering if you're free, no worries if not, I totally understand if you're busy, just let me know whenever. A confident woman might say, I've got tickets for Friday, you in? Simple, direct, unapologetic, and trust me, that hits different. Because here's what a lot of people don't realize. Men can feel energy. They can feel when a message is sent because you're scared of losing them. They can tell when you're texting just to keep their attention or when you're afraid they've lost interest. But when a man gets a message from a woman who knows she's the prize, who's not afraid of silence, not afraid of space, not afraid of letting him come to her, that's when he starts chasing. Confidence in texting also means not trying to fill every silence. You don't need to double text. You don't need to ask, did you get my message? You don't need to follow up with a meme and then just thinking of you and then hope your day's going okay, all within the same hour. When a woman is confident, she doesn't text to get attention. She texts when she genuinely has something to say. She communicates with intention, not out of insecurity. And that's what sets her apart. Let's flip it for a second. Imagine a man who's constantly texting you back to back, blowing up your phone with nervous energy, trying too hard to get your attention. It doesn't feel good, right? It doesn't feel attractive. It feels heavy. It feels desperate. The same applies the other way around. When you send a message just because you're afraid he'll forget about you, that energy travels through those words. But when you send a message because you're feeling good, because you genuinely want to share something, or because you're inviting him into your world, not needing him to validate it, that's confidence. And confidence is sexy. It's not about arrogance. It's not about being cold. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about knowing that whether he texts back in 2 minutes or 2 days, it doesn't define your worth. It's about trusting that the right man will want to text you, want to know more, want to stay connected, because he feels that you're someone who doesn't need him but chooses him. And that choice, that's powerful. So many women are out here trying to win a man over through their phones, trying to prove they're different, trying to seem cool, trying to be what they think he wants. But confidence says, I don't need to prove a thing. You'll see it if you're paying attention. That's the kind of energy that doesn't just get a reply. It makes a man stop in his tracks. Confidence isn't loud. It doesn't beg. It doesn't explain. It doesn't try to force connection. It simply shows up, sends the message, and lets the chips fall where they may. And when a man feels that kind of certainty coming from a woman, he knows he's dealing with someone rare. So next time you go to text him, check yourself real quick. Are you texting from a place of fear or from a place of power? Because when your words carry confidence, you won't just get his attention, you'll get his respect. And that's the difference between a man who texts you back and a man who can't stop thinking about you. Humor is one of the most underrated yet powerful tools in building attraction and connection, especially over text. When someone can make you laugh, you instantly feel more at ease, more open, more drawn in. And for men, a woman who can playfully joke, throw in a little sarcasm, or just send a message that makes them chuckle, that's a woman they don't forget. A lot of people think being sexy over text is about being flirty or using innuendos, and sure, that can work, but what really pulls a man in is when he enjoys texting you, when the conversation feels light, fun, and like a break from his everyday stress. That's what humor does. It makes texting you something he looks forward to. There's something magical that happens when a woman makes a man laugh without trying too hard. It's not about forcing punchlines or pretending to be a stand-up comedian. It's about those small, clever responses, the unexpected comments, the shared inside jokes that you build over time. It's when you're able to be silly, maybe even poke fun at him a little and not take yourself too seriously. That's what creates a spark. That's what separates a dry, hey, how are you conversation from one that actually sticks in his mind. Men are visual, yes, but they're also emotional in ways they won't always admit. If you can be the person that brings a smile to his face after a long day, even if it's just from a meme, a quick-witted reply, or a playful tease, you're already ahead of the game. Humor builds familiarity. It creates an emotional association. And the more good feelings he connects to talking to you, the more he wants to keep that energy around. Because let's be honest, nobody wants boring anymore. Life's already serious. Bills, work, pressure, it's all heavy. But if he can look at his phone and laugh out loud because of something you said, you just became a breath of fresh air. And what makes humor even more attractive is that it naturally expresses confidence. It shows you're comfortable in your own skin. You're not afraid to be a little weird or unexpected. And you don't need to stick to some perfect script. That's appealing. That's rare. Most women are afraid to make a joke because they don't want to come off too much. But the truth is, men remember the woman who is different, the one who joked that his gym selfie looked like he was about to wrestle a bear, or the one who texted, "Don't fall in love with me too fast. I haven't even sent you my favorite dog video yet." It's charming, it's human, and it's way more effective than trying to sound perfect. Playfulness builds trust, too. When a man sees that you're not just trying to impress him, you're actually having fun, he relaxes, he drops his guard. He starts to feel like he can be himself around you. And once that wall comes down, that's when real connection begins. That's when texting stops being a routine and becomes an experience he actually misses when it's not there. It's also a great way to handle awkward moments or silence. Let's say there's a lull in conversation or he takes too long to reply. Humor gives you a graceful way to acknowledge it without sounding needy. A quick, "I was about to send a search party," or "blink twice if you're still alive," is way more attractive than "are you ignoring me?" It's the difference between pressure and play. And men always choose play. Even teasing, when done right, creates attraction. Gentle, lighthearted teasing makes a man feel challenged, but in a good way, like he has to stay on his toes with you. That little spark of competition, of wit bouncing back and forth, it keeps things interesting. You're not just another woman trying to impress him. You're a woman who can hang with him, who can go toe-to-toe and banter. And that kind of energy is addictive. Humor doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be clever every time. It just has to be real. Whether you're sending a funny voice note referencing an inside joke or texting him a meme that reminded you of something he said, those moments matter. They build layers, they build chemistry, they build memories, because at the end of the day, people remember how you made them feel. If your messages feel like a bright spot in his day, if you make him smile, laugh, and enjoy the back and forth, he's going to keep coming back. Not because he has to, but because he wants to. And that right there, that's power. There's something about mystery that just draws people in. It's that feeling of wanting more, of not knowing everything right away, and that curiosity that starts to build. When it comes to texting, mystery isn't about being distant or playing games. It's about creating a rhythm that keeps a man intrigued, engaged, and invested. It's about knowing how to keep things just out of reach, enough that he wants to keep reaching. Because when everything is handed over at once, your thoughts, your feelings, your schedule, your stories, there's nothing left for him to discover. And people value what they earn, not what they're simply given. When you're texting a man, you don't need to pour out your life story in the first 3 days. You don't need to explain every moment of your past, every emotion you've ever felt, or every plan you have for the weekend. In fact, the more you share all at once, the less special each detail becomes. Letting a man get to know you over time, dropping little pieces here and there, telling a story halfway and finishing it later, sharing moments when the timing feels right, that's what makes him want to keep texting. That's what makes him look forward to hearing from you again. It's not about hiding who you are. It's about knowing your value and choosing to reveal it in layers. Think about a good book or a great movie. You don't find out everything in the first 5 minutes. The plot unfolds slowly. New pieces are revealed with every chapter. That's what keeps people hooked. The best characters are the ones you keep trying to figure out, the ones who surprise you, who leave you with questions even when they give answers. That's exactly how it works in real life, too. A woman who knows how to create that slow build, who doesn't rush the process, who holds something back, not because she's playing hard to get, but because she's secure enough to pace the connection, that's the woman who leaves a lasting impression. There's also something powerful in not always being available, not in a rude way, but in a self-respecting, I have a life kind of way. If you're texting back immediately every single time, if your world seems to stop just because his message came through, he starts to expect that attention. It becomes routine. But if sometimes you respond after a little while because you are out living your life, doing your thing, not glued to your phone, that creates curiosity. That makes him wonder where you are, what you're up to, who you're with. And that curiosity feeds interest. A mysterious woman doesn't answer every question right away. If he asks what you're doing this weekend, you don't need to give him a full breakdown. Maybe just say, got a few things planned, should be fun, and leave it at that. Let him wonder, let him ask more. Let him want to be part of that plan. If you tell him everything, you take away his reason to ask more. But when you give just enough to spark interest without giving it all away, you invite him into a story he wants to keep following. And it's not just about what you say, it's also about how you say it, the tone you use, the pauses you leave, the way you add a little sass or playfulness. A confident, wouldn't you like to know, hits different than a straight-up answer. It makes him lean in. It makes him want to pull more out of you. That's the power of mystery. It shifts the energy from you chasing him to him chasing you. What most women don't realize is that men are hunters by nature, not in a toxic way, but in the sense that they're most excited when there's something to pursue, when they feel like there's more to discover, when they can earn your stories, your attention, your affection. That's when they really lock in. But if everything's already laid out on the table from the jump, where's the challenge? Where's the tension? Where's the thrill? That mystery, that space, that slow reveal. It creates an experience. And when you become an experience in a man's life, instead of just another conversation in his phone, you become unforgettable. So when you're texting, keep a little something to yourself. Let him wonder what you're thinking. Let him wait for the next story. Let him ask instead of you always offering. That mystery, That's not a lack of communication. That's confidence in motion. It's knowing that the real power isn't in how much you say, it's in what you choose not to say just yet. And that space you leave, that's where the real attraction starts to grow. There's something deeply magnetic about appreciation when it's real, when it's subtle, and when it's not overdone. Most people think men are only after attention, looks, or charm, but what really gets to them on a deeper level is feeling seen, feeling respected, feeling like someone actually values who they are, not just what they can do or how they look. And you don't have to say much to show that. A single well-timed message, a thoughtful compliment that hits just right, can go further than a long paragraph trying to explain your feelings. When a man feels appreciated by a woman, it sticks with him. It touches his pride, sure, but it also touches something even more personal, his purpose, his drive, his sense of being wanted, not for show, but for who he is underneath it all. Appreciation doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. In fact, the most powerful moments come from the little things. A quick text like, "I love how focused you get when you're talking about your goals," or "You really handle that situation like a king," says a whole lot without being too much. It's those short, sincere messages that go straight to a man's core. They let him know you're paying attention, that you're not just texting because you're bored or trying to keep him around, but because you see him. And in a world where so many people are just out for validation, being the one who genuinely offers recognition makes you unforgettable. Respect plays a big role too. Men can feel when a woman is texting them from a place of respect versus a place of control. When you trust his judgment, when you don't question every little move, when you give him space to be himself, he feels that. And that doesn't mean staying silent or holding back your truth. It just means you don't need to dominate the conversation or try to manage the connection. Respect shows in the tone of your words, in the way you respond, and in the way you don't always try to fix, lead, or control every situation. It shows in letting him be a man without trying to correct or overanalyze everything he says. Sometimes appreciation is just about letting a compliment land. You don't need to follow it with a joke or brush it off. If he shares something personal or opens up about something he's been through, just saying, "That's real. Thanks for sharing that with me," can mean more than you know. You're telling him his vulnerability is safe with you. You're letting him know his truth is welcome, not judged, not laughed off, not minimized. And that feeling, that builds trust. It makes him want to keep talking to you. It makes him feel like he's not just being heard, he's being felt. Another subtle way to show appreciation is through encouragement. If he tells you about a dream he has or a risk he's thinking about taking, be the voice that says, "I could see you doing that. You've got the mindset for it." That doesn't mean you're blindly hyping him up. It means you believe in him. And belief, when it's authentic, is a powerful motivator. Men carry a lot on their shoulders. They might not always say it, but they're constantly trying to prove themselves to the world, to themselves, sometimes to you. When they find someone who reminds them that they're already enough, already valuable as they are, that changes everything. The trick to keeping this powerful is staying subtle. You don't have to overdo it. You don't have to send a flood of compliments or constantly praise everything he does. That can start to feel like flattery instead of sincerity. But when it's balanced, when it comes in at the right moment, it's gold. It becomes part of your vibe, part of the energy he gets from you. You're not just someone who texts him. You're someone who lifts him just by the way you speak to him. That's something rare. That's something a man doesn't forget. And it's not just about words. Sometimes appreciation is in the silence, letting him vent without interrupting, giving him space to lead the conversation without jumping in, letting him know you trust his process, even if you don't fully understand it yet. It all adds up. Respect is felt even in the quiet moments. And when a man feels both respected and appreciated by a woman, when he feels safe and seen, he doesn't want to lose that. Because in a world full of noise, ego, and competition, that kind of connection is a calm he didn't know he needed until you gave it to him. There's something undeniably electric about teasing when it's done right. It's playful, it's flirty, and it carries just the right amount of edge to spark curiosity and attraction. When you mix in a little lighthearted challenge with your messages, you're not just texting anymore. You're engaging in a dance. You're inviting a man into something that makes him lean forward, pay attention, and want to keep coming back. Because at the core of every man is a desire to pursue. Not to be handed everything, not to be praised endlessly, but to feel like there's something worth working for, something he's earning moment by moment, text by text. Teasing is about keeping things interesting without being rude or dismissive. It's that moment where you respond to his compliment with, "Took you long enough to notice," or when he tries to flex and you casually respond with, "That's cute, but I'm not that easy to impress." It's about having a quick wit, a little sass, a tone that says, "I'm enjoying this, but I'm not falling all over you." That kind of energy shifts everything. Suddenly, it's not just you reacting to him, it's him working to impress you. And that's where the spark ignites. The key to this is balance. You're not mocking him, and you're definitely not playing games in a toxic way. It's more about creating a sense of unpredictability, keeping him on his toes. When a woman is playful and knows how to throw a little tease into the mix, it tells a man she's confident, she's having fun, and most importantly, she's not desperate for his validation. That subtle challenge excites him. It makes him feel alive. It brings out his playful side too, and that creates chemistry. That's where connection starts to take on heat. Challenge in this sense doesn't mean making things difficult for no reason. It means setting a tone that says, "I'm not just here to fill your time. I'm someone you've got to show up for. You're not cold. You're not aloof. You're just self-assured enough to not hand over your interest on a silver platter." And men love that. They might not say it out loud, but they crave that kind of dynamic. They want to feel like they're in motion, like they're earning something real, like they're chasing someone who is worth chasing. You might drop a message like, "I'm not saying I'm amazing, but I haven't heard any complaints." It's cheeky, it's fun, and it gives him space to jump in with his own witty reply. That's how banter begins. And banter is the heartbeat of flirting. It's not just words, it's rhythm. When you get into a flow where you're both teasing, challenging, laughing, and responding, it stops being a conversation and becomes an experience. He's not just talking to you, he's playing with you. And that feeling, that's addictive. Even something as simple as pretending not to be impressed by something he's proud of can create the perfect dynamic. Let's say he mentions a promotion or a new car. You could say, "Yeah, not bad. I might let you buy me coffee with your new paycheck." It's teasing with a purpose. You're acknowledging his achievement, but you're also throwing in that playful twist that keeps it flirty, not formal, that keeps him engaged, that keeps him wanting to earn your attention, your praise, your time. Men thrive when they feel like they're pursuing. It's not about making them jump through hoops or withholding affection. It's about letting them feel like they're working towards something real. A teasing message gives him that sense of momentum. He doesn't just get to sit back and receive your attention. He has to rise to your level. He has to step into the banter, step into the flirtation, and meet you there. And when he does, that's where connection deepens. So when you're texting a guy and you really want to catch his attention, don't be afraid to stir things up a bit. Challenge him, tease him, make him wonder what you'll say next. Not every message has to be sweet or serious. Let there be some spark. Let there be some push and pull. That's what keeps the game exciting. That's what makes you stand out. And more than anything, that's what awakens something in him. The thrill of the chase, the joy of the flirt, the desire to win you over, one clever message at a time. When it comes to texting and building that undeniable chemistry with a man, timing is everything. Not just what you say, but when you say it. It's one of those subtle things that most people don't think about, but it's the difference between a conversation that fizzles out and one that lingers in his mind long after the phone goes dark. Pacing your messages, knowing when to hold back, when to reply instantly, and when to leave just enough space to make him wonder is like having a secret superpower. Because a message that's perfectly timed doesn't just land in his inbox, it lands in his imagination. See, we live in a world of instant everything, fast replies, constant updates, and messages flying back and forth without a breath in between. But when someone takes their time, when they don't always text right away, when there's a rhythm to how and when they respond, it stands out. It creates anticipation. It leaves room for curiosity. It makes him pause and think, what is she doing? Why hasn't she replied yet? Did I say something wrong? Not in a paranoid way, but in a drawn-in kind of way. You're not ignoring him. You're letting the space between messages build tension, and that tension becomes energy. And energy is where attraction lives. You don't have to play games or stick to a rule book about waiting X hours before texting back. It's not about pretending to be busy. It's about actually being busy, living your life, and letting that naturally shape the pace of your connection. When a man sees that your world doesn't revolve around your phone, it makes him realize your world won't automatically revolve around him either. That makes you intriguing. That makes you feel high value. Because let's be honest, anything that's too available, too easy to access, too constant, starts to lose its shine. But when you pace your messages with intention, it keeps him on his toes. It keeps the experience of texting you feeling fresh. Sometimes the most powerful message you can send is no message at all, at least for a little while. That silence, that pause, that gap between texts. It creates space for him to move toward you. It gives him a chance to miss you, to think about what he wants to say next, to feel the absence of your energy and crave it back. And when you do text again, when your name lights up on his screen after he's been wondering about you, it hits different. It's not just another message. It's a moment. Pacing also means knowing how to move the conversation. You don't want to unload everything at once, and you don't want to stretch things out so slowly that it gets boring. It's a balance. If he's sending long, detailed messages, you don't need to match him word for word, but responding with thoughtful energy shows you're invested. If he's being short or dry, you don't need to chase that energy. Sometimes you pull back, let him come to you. Let the rhythm of the conversation reflect the natural give and take that real chemistry is built on. That's the art of pacing, knowing when to lean in and when to lean back. Even how you end a conversation matters. Instead of dragging it on until it fades out, sometimes ending on a high note is what makes you memorable. Leaving the conversation just when it's getting fun with a little cliffhanger or a playful, I'll tell you the rest later, keeps him hooked. You're creating an opening for the next conversation. You're not exhausting the moment, you're stretching it out. That kind of pacing creates a long-term impact. Because it's not about flooding his phone with constant attention. It's about becoming a highlight of his day. Something he looks forward to, not something that just fills time. Timing also plays into emotional impact. If he's had a tough day and you pop up with the perfect message at just the right time, something funny, encouraging, or simply thoughtful, it shows a kind of emotional intuition that's rare. It tells him you're in tune with him, even from a distance. But that doesn't happen if you're just texting out of habit or routine. It happens when you're reading the moment. Being unforgettable isn't about being constant. It's about being intentional. When you know how to pace your presence, when to reach out, when to wait, when to tease, and when to let silence do the talking, you become something more than just another message on his phone. You become a mystery, a comfort, a spark, someone he doesn't just text, but someone he feels. And that feeling, that's what keeps him coming back for more.